Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I am your host, Michael Hansen, and I am back. And I do all kinds of quintessential things with microphones because I am a ring announcer and MMA cage announcer. And I am joined by my two distinguished friends who both bring MMA punditry to new heights. Introducing first, from New York, Mark Priaulx. What's up, man?
What's up, boys? It is late tonight. We are burning the candle for you listeners. But yeah, man, we feel complete again. Feels like the family is back, and it is nice not to worry about holding this show together because I can just rely on you to do that.
Nice. And now introducing from Florida, the Sunshine State, the Nicaraguan Nightmare, Omar Artola. What's up, my friend?
What's going on? It's good to have you back.
Thank you.
That was a stressful episode last week for me.
Was it? You guys sounded great.
Figured out the logistics of that.
It was great.
Yeah, it's good to have you back, man.
So I got home from the weekend last weekend from doing I did 3 events in like 10 days, all ring announcing. And I got back Monday in the afternoon, went to work. And then when I got home, I was like, I think I'm kind of coming down with something from all this travel. And I didn't think of it like, oh, I caught something at the airport or traveling. I just thought I'm freaking exhausted and burning the candle at both ends. And I was like, let me just go to bed and see if I wake up feeling crappy or not. I woke up sick as a dog. I was like, oh, I think I have the flu. Called out of work. The whole day I'm in bed sick. I couldn't speak, had no voice. And then the next day, I couldn't sleep all night. Again, like terrible sick, chills, sweating, achy, all the symptoms. The next day, I'm like, I'm still sick as a dog. Let me go to the doctor just to see what they say. And they were like, we'll give you a swab for COVID just to see. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I was like, I have the flu. I'm like, let me tell you. And I don't know why I thought that. And then, sure enough, like 2 minutes later, a doctor comes in the room, and she's like, Mr. Hansen, I have some bad news. You have COVID. And I was like, no way. I took off my mask. I was like, no shit. And nothing.
That was your first time having COVID, right?
First time ever having COVID.
Yeah.
Gotta say, not a fan. Not a fan. It was pretty terrible for about 2.5, 3 days there. And then on Thursday, I started kind of coming out of it. And back to myself. It was crazy, guys.
Man, look, to be honest, a lot worse than I did.
Yeah, it sounded like you had it bad. But to be honest, we did miss you, but we also realized we can do this show without you. So I'm sorry, this is going to be your last episode, pal.
I got to say, it sounded great. You guys did a great job. You just kind of passed the ball back and forth with each other, and I thought it was good entertainment, man. It's good stuff.
It wasn't the same without the voice.
Well, guys, we do have some things to talk about this evening. We have a little bit of a shorter show because we have no MMA to look forward to this weekend. Wah, wah. Sadness. It's a weird thing now these days when there's a gap in the calendar with no MMA at all. That being said, we're going to start as we always do with our first segment on the marquee. We're going to talk about this past weekend's UFC Fight Night. Holm versus Vieira that went down in Las Vegas at the UFC Apex. We're going to find out who rose and who fell on the heels of this event with our very own rankings system, the Priaulx Rankings. And then we're going to dive inside the MMA sphere with Omar and find out what's going on in the world of mixed martial arts. And then we're going to end with a little bit of trivia. That being said, guys, before we get to anything else, if you're watching this or listening to this, thank you so much. A huge, huge thank you from all of us. The number one thing that would help us is to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Give our video a like. And, of course, share this video with someone who you know who loves MMA and might not. Even somebody who just likes MMA and might not know about our show. Go ahead and share this video with them. Be like, hey, thinking about you. These guys are awesome. They share hot takes in MMA. You might like this. Share. Easy. Boom. Growth. and you can be part of that. So thank you again. Like I said, if you want audio only, find us wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, join the conversation on social media. We are on all the socials at @&new_MMA show. That's us. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Probably most active on Twitter and Instagram. But DM us. We'll get you back. Ask us a question. Might feature on the show. All right. Enough of this. Let's get into this. This week, the name on the marquee has got to be MMA judging yet again. I think anybody who's a diehard listener to our show, let me know. I feel like judging has been on the marquee in the past at some point for our show. So this past week,
was once.
yeah. And you know what? Judging in MMA is still a thing. It's still one of those sort of issues in MMA that is sort of always ongoing, and every once in a while it comes up again because of something like this. So this past weekend, Ketlen Vieira defeats Holm, the preacher's daughter, by split decision, earning a 48-47 on two of the judges' scorecards. Holm earning a 48-47 on the other scorecard. This went down at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. A very consequential women's bantamweight bout. Let's discuss this, guys. Mark, let me throw it over to you first. What was your reaction? First question, of course. Do you think that Vieira was the rightful winner to the fight?
So, no, but with some understanding. So, allow me to elaborate. I guess I'll skip their performances for now. I'll go right into the scoring. So I'll come at this from a couple angles. My live feeling is that I thought it was a brutally bad decision. I thought Holly may have won 4 rounds, and that she certainly won 3, and I thought she was horribly robbed. It also cost me 2 parlays that I had Holly attached to, and a Holly Holm by decision bet. So maybe that had something to do with my reaction in the moment, because I wasn't even really paying attention to the decision being read because I was so sure that she had won and I was already counting my money. And then I heard it and I was like, wait, what just happened? So I wasn't thrilled. On the rewatch, I did still score the fight, 49-46 for Holly Holm. The only round that I personally scored for Ketlen Vieira was the second. However, I did realize that rounds 3 and 4 were significantly closer rounds than I realized live. And I guess that I can see them being scored for Vieira. And
Okay.
if I can see either of them being scored for Vieira, that also by default means I would have to accept if they were both scored for Vieira. And if that happens along with round 2, which is what 2 of those judges did, then she wins the fight. So do I agree with it? No. Do I kind of understand it more than I ever expected to after the rewatch? Yeah.
Omar, let's bring you in here. First off, just like I asked Mark, who did you think won the fight?
So I also thought Holly Holm won the fight. I think the real thing that I saw throughout the fight was, especially on the feet, was the difference between volume and power. Holly was able to get a lot of shots off in that fight, but Ketlen was able to knock back Holly almost every time that she landed something on Holly. So there was a lot more damage, it seemed, and a lot more impact when Ketlen landed, but she landed very few and far between. There's a lot of control from Holly, not a lot of advancement from Holly. If we did have yellow scorecards like we were talking, or yellow cards like we were talking about the last time, a couple of those would have probably gone up in that fight before that decision actually came to a close. Holly definitely could have done more, but at the same time, Ketlen didn't get out of that situation. This kind of goes back to the MVP Storley thing when we talk about it, and how MVP at least was working from the bottom to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, MVP wasn't able to get up from the bottom, and Ketlen wasn't able to get up off the cage for a good couple rounds there. And I don't think that what Ketlen offered in those rounds was enough to counter essentially 4 minutes of control in those rounds. The fifth round, I think, by far was Holly's best round.
100%.
But 3 and 4 were more contestable than any of the other ones. I think 1, 2, and 5 were the most clear-cut rounds of the fight. 3 and 4, I think, is where it got really hazy. And yeah, I still scored them for Holly as well. I don't think Ketlen did enough. I just don't.
What you just said about the fifth round, I think plays a large role in why this decision feels so bad. Because even as much as I rewatched it and I'm like, all right, maybe 3 and 4 were closer than I thought. As a whole, Holly Holm absolutely won that fight because rounds 1, 2, 3, 4 were all pretty close. And round 5 is a blowout for Holly Holm. So, like, if you're looking at that fight from a whole, it certainly feels like she's supposed to be the winner, which I definitely think plays into you see Ketlen Vieira's hand getting raised, and you're like, this just feels wrong.
Yeah.
Agree.
I mean, my whole thing was you had to see Ketlen's reaction, right? Like, Ketlen knew she lost that shit.
Yes.
She knew.
100%
Coaches
she knew.
knew.
I agree.
Everybody
She
knew.
seemed kind of surprised.
Pederneiras knew for sure. He was losing his mind in the corner in between every round.
As religious as that woman is, I guarantee you that's one of the ones that she goes, see, God is real. I told you. I told you. I prayed for it, and there it was.
Asked and he provided.
There you go.
Oh, that's a big pet peeve of mine, man. In any sport, when athletes win and they're like, "Man, God is so good," I'm like, "Shut up." That's not it. That's not it, man.
Give yourself a little bit more credit, I guess.
Diehard religious people are about to turn this show off.
Oh God.
Sorry, Alabama. I was frankly I was frustrated both ways, right? Like the fight wasn't super entertaining at the end of the day. It wasn't like a barn burner or anything wild. Holly could have done a lot more. She had a lot of control time in that fight, but she didn't really do as much as I think she could have. Ketlen didn't have any response to being against the cage, so she just kind of rode that shit for most of the rounds. When she was off the cage and when she did land something, she did make an impact. But again, there wasn't a ton of that happening throughout the fight, so there wasn't really a lot to go on. It's a good point about the fifth round, though. I guess there is a little bit of bias in who won the fight just based off of how that fifth round went. But at the same time, it sucks that that's how that ended. It didn't feel like the right result.
So as much as I want to be talking more about either one of these two women and the significance that this win has for their careers and where they might be going from here, and we will get to that. But guys, the word on the marquee once again is judging. So let's talk about the judging a little bit more specifically. Mark, let me throw it over back to you. Talking about the state of judging in MMA, if you were in control in some way, do you think that there's something that needs to be done to fix judging in MMA?
So yes, I absolutely do. We can't. When we started this podcast, I've said this before on this podcast. When we started this podcast, I never in a million years thought we would be spending as much time discussing scoring as we have. It seems like it has exploded as of late. It seems like every other week there's a fight, a big time fight, where it's like I'm not sure how that got scored that way. So certainly, I think something has to be done. I mean, it's not. MMA is trying to be a mainstream sport. You could even say it is already a mainstream sport in some ways. How often is there a basketball game where we're like, man, like that team won, but it's really not fair because the other team did better. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, of course, there's blown calls, but it's not like they're awarding it to a team that scored less points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there needs to be a way for this to be more clear. Obviously, there's a million ideas being presented. You can hear a ton of different people in the space. You can go on Twitter and find people who have no idea what they're even talking about, throwing out a million ideas for you.
Of course.
So many things sound good in the moment, then you start nitpicking it. You're not entirely sure. Obviously, we've discussed open scoring on here before, which there's certainly arguments for. We've discussed changing from the arguably outdated 10-9 and 10-8 system, which was adopted from boxing, which is an entirely different sport. And I heard Brett Okamoto make a great point on that when he was talking about the results of this fight. And he was stressing how that system works so much better when there is 12 of those score or 15 of those score, like in boxing. In MMA, when it's only 3 10-9s, 10-8s, it's way too much weight being put into that type of scoring, which makes a ton of sense, which I hadn't really thought about before. But to me, and I want you guys to counter this if you think there's something I'm not seeing. To me, the more I think about it, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately because there's a lot of problems in MMA lately, even going back to the MVP Storley fight and other fights like that we've discussed where it's like guys trying to avoid the fight, going back to Rose and Carla and how the hell do you score that bullshit? The more I think about it, the more I keep coming back to the thought that basically returning to everything that Pride did would solve a lot of problems. Mainly in 3 ways. 1, you score the fight as a whole. It eliminates controversy about rounds. There's no more worry of like, oh, you got a 10-9 and then I got a 10-9, but really mine was a lot clearer than yours, so this 10-9 system isn't working so well. That worry is gone. And you reward a fighter who truly – so like this Holly fight, it would be solved because anyone who watched rounds 1 through 4 and thought, man, this is a close fight, I'm not trying to score these rounds. You're watching round 5 and you're like, well, Holly just pulled away. She just won that fight. So you're scoring it as a whole. No one's scoring that fight for Vieira. So it solves that, in my opinion. You simply watch a full fight and you decide who won. And the same exact thing would go for Michel Pereira, who we'll get to, who had a big round 1 in his fight against Pons. And then 2 and 3 were very close. And there was some controversy about that scoring. If you're scoring that fight as a whole, same thing. Pereira was way ahead after round 1. It's his fight. So I think it solves a lot of those issues. 2, I keep hitting this fucking microphone. Sorry if it's making a lot of noise. 2, you add the yellow cards for stalling that we've discussed in prior weeks for people who are trying to avoid the fight. Again, going back to our Storley MVP discussion, how to solve things like that. That solves that, or at least it begins to address that. And then 3, Pride. I don't remember if Pride did this for its entirety, but there was certainly a large period of years in Pride where if a fight ended and judges felt like, you know what, I don't think a winner has been determined in that fight, they would say, go out there, we're doing a sudden death round. How nice would that be in a fight like Rose and Carla? If we're scoring that fight as a whole and the fight ends and we get to say, that was bullshit, neither one of you should be the champ right now, you're going out there for 5 more minutes. And how much would those 2 girls push it in 5 more minutes knowing those 5 are all that matters? And then you get a whole different fight than you got in the first 25. So that's 3 reasons right there that the way Pride did things, at least in my mind, solves a lot. So again, I don't know if I'm missing anything on those points. I would love to hear your guys' takes, but I feel like I don't really hear anyone talk about much of that. I always hear like the open scoring, the change the 10-9. I think that solves a lot.
Omar?
So, I was looking up this sudden death thing just now because that would be such a fantastic rule.
Let's call it sudden victory.
Is it sudden victory? Is that what it is?
I mean, it's not like there's no precedence for that in the UFC. I mean, that's what they do on Tough. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, of course, those are 2 rounds.
Yes.
So if it's like, hey, if it's a tie going out of leaving 2 rounds, and you're like, hey guys, we're doing number 3, but fuck it, let's do it. If it
works fine, they wait.
Yeah.
After the 2 rounds, they're like, let me hear what's up, and then if they have to do round 3, they're ready to go. You know, like it would work. There's no reason it wouldn't work.
Love it, and you love that when it's on those episodes of Tough when it's like, oh shit, we're going to sudden victory round.
Hell
it's
yeah.
like, hell yeah, man, it's good TV.
We should get into Tough in a minute, but yeah. When it comes to these sudden victory rounds, I would love to see something like that. But the yellow scorecards to me or the yellow card, I keep calling them scorecards. The yellow cards to me, I think, are paramount. I think they should bring that in regardless of whatever they decide to do with the scoring or not, because there needs to be something against stalling. If there's one change that I would love to see from the way that judging is done now and the way the fights are looked at, top control needs to get less love. It can't just be top control is the Bible and you win. That can't be it going forward. The MMA has come way too far. Guys are way too good on the ground at this point. When you used to be on top, when you used to have top control back in the day, it was guys like Tito Ortiz that were beating your face in.
Or Frank Shamrock or Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, GSP, who, granted, wasn't the most exciting towards the later half of his career, but was always active, always moving, always punching, always like posturing up, trying to do something. There is a ground game to work from your opponent's guard, but guys are literally just chilling at this point in people's guard, doing nothing, just holding on at this point for dear life, smothering them so that they can't do anything either, not even trying to pass, but they win because what else is there? What else is there for us to go by? And so that just can't be the way. There's got to be something else, for us to do. There's got to be ways for that to stop. And it can't be relying on the crowd reaction. There has to be something in the guidelines that say that they can't stall. They have to be fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's something about whole fight scoring that changes the way the fighters fight that is so much more pure to me. I mean, there's no more, I feel like there would be no more of a guy, taking a round off. There also would be no point of open scoring at that point. If you did whole fight scoring, I don't think there would be nothing to be open about.
Yeah, no.
And there wouldn't be a guy taking a round 2 or a round 3 off, so to speak, because it's the whole fight. I mean, maybe, guys can coast for a few minutes because they feel like they, are conserving their energy. But I just feel like it's a much more different management of energy, of time overall. And I would love it, man.
I mean, not to make it too dumbed down, because I understand it's a sport. It's not like a backyard fight. But if you ever watched two people fight, right? And then you're, two of your friends, and then another friend was like, who do you think won that fight?
Yeah.
All you would say was, who won the fight? You wouldn't be like, well, the first 3 minutes were really him, and then the next 3, and how should I weigh it? You would just be like, oh, I think this guy won. It's so much more natural to score it that way.
If your friends fought,
I agree,
for like 60 seconds.
Well, you know what
before they puke it everywhere.
That being said, if it wasn't whole fight scoring, some combination of open scores between rounds, plus introducing yellow cards, red cards, what have you, to prevent a fighter who is ahead, prevent them from coasting in the third round or later in the fight. It seems to me it'd be such a great combo of rules.
Yeah, it'd be better than what we have right now, for sure.
If Holly Holm could look up at the end of the 4th round and be like, oh, shit, like I'm not winning as much as I thought I was, it might have been different.
If Ketlen was throwing more while against the cage, right, if she was like landing elbows or some shit, or landing knees, or really doing damage to Holly, while her back was up against the cage, while she technically didn't have control, I would be way more okay with her winning those rounds. But the fact is that she was literally doing nothing. She was completely neutralized in those moments.
Yeah,
and it just didn't feel like she won that fight by any stretch of the imagination.
To me, Ketlen showed the same flaws that she has always showed. To be honest, I did think Holly looked a bit slower. Like, she was getting hit more than she usually gets hit. I felt like her reaction time was a little bit slower. So maybe age is starting to be a factor. But for the most part, she fought kind of the same fight that we know to be a Holly Holm fight, like clinching, control, her short little punches, front kicks, side kicks to keep that distance, outscore your opponent. It's what she does. Ketlen showed all the same flaws that I feel like she has shown in this whole stretch. Like, obviously she's tough and she can crack, but there's too much waiting. There's too much tentativeness. There's not enough confidence in her own game. And I wish that she lost this fight so she could be more forced to address these things. I almost feel like now she gets gifted this win and she's just going to continue to be this same fighter, which is not a fighter that can win a belt at all.
What do you think about more judges? Is that possible, you think?
We would have to. I mean, I'm down to do 5 judges. I'd be down.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Of course, there's logistical
But-
things. The commissions, they probably can't logistically get 7, 9 judges, but
Yeah,
I feel like 5 would be so much better.
What,
I mean,
what do you feel about judges having access to stats the way that we do? Like,
I don't
why?
like it.
I don't think
I
they'd
don't
even have time to consider them because they have to watch.
I don't even look at stats when I score a fight.
No.
I feel like it's like it doesn't
Do you
tell
think it
the
would-
true story.
Do you think it would? Well, for a close fight though, like for those close rounds that the one would have to edge over the other. Do you
But see,
think,
the issue is you'll see like 20 strikes to 15, but those 15 may have all been harder than the 20.
Right.
So it's like I feel like the numbers don't. I don't want judges getting hung up on numbers. I want them scoring what they see.
I also want to know. I want to get some more clarity on exactly how those stats are taken away because there was that the Carla Rose fight really brought up some questions to me as to where the hell they got all those
Yeah.
strikes attempted and all that stuff from because
Yep.
I don't remember none of that. So I want to know exactly what their definition is for all of those different stats that they take.
Yeah, Mike, I don't hate your more judging idea, but I feel like even though it's slightly better because at least you have 5 instead of 3, it's still working off a flawed system
Sure.
that I would like to see changed. So like, is it slightly better? Yeah. Would open scoring be even better than that? Yeah. Personally, for me, would full fight
Yeah.
scoring be even better than that? Yeah. Like, but any improvements we can make, I'll take it.
To that, do you remember how were Pride scores like written? Like if it was full fight scoring,
Literally, the dude would come out and just say, "Judges scored the fight. Winner, Mike Hansen."
oh, okay.
Like, literally.
So there would be no number. There'd be no
2-1.
score.
Yeah, no score.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
And I think I think also judges can be way more lenient or more generous with scoring a round even. If we're still doing round scores,
I would love that too. The fact that Rose Carla round 1 did not get scored even is the biggest joke I have ever seen in my entire life. Why do we have the ability to score rounds 10-10 if we are going to watch 2 girls stand across from each other, each tap each other 3 times, and say, nah, one of them won that round 10-9.
had to give
the hell
right,
out of here.
right.
Have
yeah,
we ever seen a 10-10 round in the UFC?
I mean, we must have.
I couldn't tell you. I feel like yes, but I couldn't tell you.
I don't think so.
I just know it
I've
is
never
allowed.
seen that.
It is allowed. It should be way more common though, because some rounds are even.
Yeah, I don't.
I have no problem with
I
it
wouldn't
with
have
a
a
fight
problem.
being a draw.
But see, this is. I feel like I'm just going back to. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm pumping my full fight thing, but like, it's another reason why I love that because like, why do we have to get so tricky of like, man, that round was so close. Should I make it a 10-9? Should I make it a 10-10? Like, why do we need these numbers? Like, just watch the fight and let's say who won it. I just feel like it eliminates so many problems.
Even with full fight scoring, I would be so okay with judges being more allowed to, who won the whole fight. I kind of think it was even the whole fight. It was. Let's call it. I'm calling it a draw.
That's what I'm saying about my sudden death.
I'm okay with that.
Like,
yeah.
if 2 out of 3 judges say, I think you guys got to fight 5 more minutes, fucking get back out there. 5
Yeah,
more.
I love that.
Let's
Yeah, I
find
love
out
that
for sure
idea.
who really wants it.
Dude, Ovin St. Preux versus Gian Vellante had
What a 10-10?
2 10-10 rounds.
2? Wow.
Wow.
So
But like, think about Max and Volk in a month or two, whatever that is. Imagine it's full fight scoring, and they just go to fucking war, and that fight ends, and the judges are like, "Boys, I don't know what to tell you. We need 5 more." Imagine the goosebumps on your body being like sudden death round. These 2 guys are bloody. You know neither one's gonna quit. They're going out for a 6th round. Like, it would be insane moments. Like,
That's sick.
I don't know what's not to like. I don't know what's not to like.
Yeah. Oh man. If you can only choose one thing to change about judging out of the various things we've mentioned? What would it be? What do you think is priority numero uno?
For me, it's the yellow cards.
Really? Okay.
It might be for me too.
Stalling.
Amongst other things.
We
But
can't have fights like what Storley did to MVP.
There's
It
yellow
defeats the
cards,
purpose.
yellow cards, full fight scoring, open scoring, more judges, all those kinds of things. I think full fight scoring. I would love to see that. And I don't think there's any reason. I think I would love to get away from the boxing system.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem to
I
work.
too. That's what I'm between, that and yellow cards. Those are my two biggest things. For sure.
MMA just seems to have too many other variables
Absolutely.
from boxing.
It is so much harder to score than boxing. So much harder.
it's too subjective. It's still too subjective.
Yeah.
Right.
In
If I'm
boxing,
winning on... Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I'm saying
please.
in boxing, you're comparing just punches to punches. In MMA,
Right.
you're like, well, did that takedown overrule those punches that just happened? Did that back take count for more than whatever? Now he reversed the position. Was that a sub attempt? Like, there's so much.
Exactly.
Like, it's so much harder.
All right, let's transition back to talking about these two ladies and where they might go from here at women's bantamweight. Let's start with the winner of this fight, Ketlen Vieira. Before Holly Holm, she defeated Miesha Tate. I would like to see her be treated as though she lost and have to rematch Yana Kunitskaya. But Yana herself is coming off of an L. And they might, they don't always like matching up winners against recent losers. So, Omar, what do you think? Looking at women's bantamweight, where would you put Vieira next?
Didn't Yana just have a baby too?
Oh, did she really? I didn't realize that.
Did she really?
I should figure that out. I don't know if that was the case, but
You could be right.
What's next for Yana? Or not Yana?
Vieira.
Ketlen. So Ketlen says that she's going to wait. She's really high off of this win right here. I don't think that she has as much to hold her head up on that as she thinks she does. I'm pretty sure they're going to throw her one more person before they give her a title shot. As well they should, to be quite honest. Kind of difficult to say at this point who to get because I'm pretty sure she's beat or at least has fought everyone at this point in that area. Let me just double check and see who she hasn't fought.
I could tell you who she hasn't if you want, and it's who I'm matching her up
do.
against.
It's going to save me some Googling time.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's no way I'm letting Ketlen fight for a title coming off this win, and I don't think the UFC will either. I think she's absolutely got to win another one, especially considering she just lost to Yana Kunitskaya, as you said, like 2 fights ago. And before that got knocked out by Irene Aldana, not even that much before that. So, yeah, she has this little run, but I'm throwing her in there with Raquel Pennington. They haven't fought. Raquel has quietly rattled off 4 in a row. She doesn't lose to anyone besides the tippity top of the division. I say let's get her in there with Raquel, and we'll see which one of them is the real contender right now.
I'm down for that. Definitely
Love
down
it.
for that.
Love it. What about Holly? What do you guys think about Holly? Mark, let me stay with you. The preacher's daughter, who would you match her up with next?
She's not as easy to match up. She has fought a lot of these girls already as well. But I feel like you're not going to take her and really move her so far down the line. There's another girl who's kind of at the top of this division who Holly also had a controversial fight with years back, and that's Germaine de Randamie. I'm not sure of her health right now. She was supposed to fight back in November and had to pull out of the fight, so I don't know what the injury was or when she is planning to return, but I just kind of feel like that's where Holly is right now, in that we have Amanda and Pena. Maybe we're going to have something like Vieira and Pennington trying to figure out a next title contender. I feel like you keep Holly in another high-profile fight to keep this division interesting other than the immediate title picture. And I think Holm and de Randamie does exactly that.
Nice. Any other names you want to throw out there, Omar?
I mean, that's probably as good as it's going to get. You know, to Mark's credit, there's a lot of these names at the top here. She's already beat Irene Aldana or Raquel Pennington. The further down the list you go, the more you're sort of punishing her for not getting a decision that she should have gotten.
Yeah.
So, I'm down for that. Durand May hasn't been around for a minute. Currently, she's not officially ranked on there, neither in the featherweight or the bantamweight division.
Yeah, she got pulled because she's been out for too long.
Yeah, but she's definitely done enough that she should be able to just pop right back in there, at least in the top 5.
I mean, her last fight was choking out Juliana Pena, who's the champion. Like, she's still good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, let us move on from this unfortunate split decision, and let's talk about the co-main event that went down in the welterweight division. Another split decision. Michel Pereira, Demolidor. He defeated the Argentine dagger Santiago Ponzinibbio by split decision, earning a 30-27 and 29-28 on the scorecards, on 2 of the scorecards, that is. Ponzinibbio got his own 29-28. Omar, let me start with you. Same question. Do you think that Pereira was the rightful winner of this fight, and what was your overall impressions?
So when I was watching it live, I scored it for Ponzinibbio. I was less upset about this one, though, to be honest. This one was a lot closer, in my opinion. It was a scrap.
This fight was guaranteed to be a scrap.
This was a scrap from beginning to end. The one thing that I loved about Pereira at this point is he's definitely found control. He's definitely found his shots. He is very, very powerful. His movement is fantastic. And I think his movement is really what won him the fight. You know, he was able to really make it difficult for Ponzinibbio to find any shots. And the few that he did find, he landed some good shots on him, but it was really the movement of Pereira that made Ponzinibbio have to work for it and gave up a couple rounds having to do it. Nice. It was a really good fight from beginning to end. Bloody, I think, on both sides at this point. But I loved it. I thought it was great.
Mark, what was your assessment, and who do you think won the fight?
Yeah, so I mentioned it before that I get it. There was some controversy around this one as well because, and I've rewatched this one also, and still even on the rewatch, I thought 2 and 3 were both razor close, like nearly flip a coin. Maybe 3 was Pons. I shouldn't say 2 and 3, though it was still close. But that one I think was a little more Pons. But 2 was I think literally coin flip. Personally, I scored it for Pereira, so I did have a 29-28 Pereira. But I totally understand someone scoring it the other way. But just circling back to what I mentioned before, Pereira won round 1 so clearly. So in an instance like that, I'm glad the decision went to him because I feel like he won the fight as a whole. But I thought he looked good. He can get knocked off his rhythm at times, I feel like, and that's when he tends to get hit, and it's almost like he has to find a way to reset in there, and then all of a sudden he starts flowing again. But he was landing some beautiful strikes in this fight. I loved his kicks. It seems like the cardio issues are mostly a thing of the past. It's a few fights now where it's like maybe he has a minute where it's like, oh shit, he's looking tired, and then boom, second wind, and he's fine. As for Pons,
he's not doing fucking cartwheels and
well, yeah, that helps.
Backflips and shit for no reason either. So
for sure, I mean, it's a little harder to do backflips when you're fighting top 15 level opposition. But yeah, for Pons, I thought it was kind of more of the same. It kind of felt like the Neal fight. He's very close to these guys he's losing to, but he just gets stuck being a bit behind and can't seem to change the landscape of the fight enough to flip it around. He's never going to go away. He's always going to bring it. He's going to stay in your face. But he's got to figure out a way to either do more damage than he's doing or make people fight the style of fight that he's trying to dictate. And if he can't do those things, he's going to tend to lose a lot of close decisions.
To me, it looked like Ponzinibbio has always seemed like the type of person who needs to be first.
Yeah.
And I don't. It may have been all the injuries. It may have impacted him, but he seems slower now. It may be that Pereira was just
35.
faster. He might have always been faster even before the injuries, but he looks slower against Pereira, and I think it cost him. You know what I mean? It didn't help when they were trying to figure out how he was going to close the distance against Pereira, and Pereira's going left, right, down the line, center, and punching him, going back.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't have any real answer for any of that throughout the entire
You know, at
fight.
welterweight, Ponzinibbio being 35, I would say 35 in those sort of middle weight classes in MMA. 35 is getting up there. You're sort of, I would say probably exiting your prime. Your prime obviously is going to extend more the heavier you go. Heavyweights can fight until they're freaking 50. But Pereira is only 29, so he's really, really just entering his physical prime. I would say that Ponzinibbio seems to be, I agree with you, exiting his physical prime. I mean, he's a scrapper no less, though.
Yeah, he's still good. He feels like a slightly lessened version of himself. But at the top level of MMA, the margins are so thin that even a drop-off like that is going to be the difference between winning and losing fights.
Especially against a guy who's a super athlete in Pereira.
Right.
All right, let's talk about where these gentlemen go from here. Let's start with the winner, Michel Pereira at welterweight. Mark, why don't you go first? Give us a name who you would love to match up with next against Demolidor.
I kind of love one guy in particular. I feel like we've kind of stumbled into a perfect opponent for Michael Chiesa. He's been a guy that's been a little tough to match up. Having lost 2 in a row recently, it feels like a lot of that division's not really open. But he's 11 in the UFC's rankings. Pereira's 14. And now that Pereira has hit these rankings, I think it's time to see what he looks like against a grappler. Because he hasn't fought one in a while. And the last time he did, it went horribly. And he lost to a featherweight in Tristan Connolly, who took the fight on short notice and beat him. So he's made this whole rise. I think it's time we see where he's at against someone who can grapple and see if he's truly a contender who can hang with these top guys.
Omar, you got a name?
It's not a bad pick for some flavor, though. Let's send the boy Neil Magny in there. Let's see if he can get past the gate.
The ultimate litmus test at welterweight.
Let's see where he's at. Neil Magny don't give a shit about your movement. It's Neil Magny.
Neil Magny's got to get past Shavkat first.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oof, that's a tough
But
fight.
if he does, I'm
he's
down
so
for that,
good
for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, for where he is in the rankings, where did you say he's in the UFC rankings?
14.
He's 14 already, so he's now.
I have him 14 as well. I think I matched up with them.
So he's in the rankings now. He's in the top 15.
Yeah, I have him 14 as well.
But in spite of his position in the rankings, Pereira's a star. I think he's one of the bright spots in the division, in the sport overall. I'd love them to match this guy with a big marquee name. I think Kies is a great pick. Ah, man, I just want to jump him up there. I really do. I guess Kies is the right one.
I will say so. If Pereira said something during the post fight about how Masvidal slid into his DMs and how now he wants to fight Masvidal, and then
That was so silly.
And then Masvidal's like, "Your wife slid into my DMs, sir. Hold out receipts, right?" If this guy made up a whole fake, you slid into my wife's DMs for a red panty night, he's a chooch.
That's chooch material, man.
Great
100%.
use of the word. Great use of the word.
And then his wife came out and was like, "Oh, it's a public account. I don't run it."
And also, it was
Nonsense.
before she even met Pereira. So, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Everyone shut up.
And Pereira made it seem like it was recent. And just in the way that he said, he goes, "I don't know. Masvidal sent my wife an emoji.
Yeah.
He didn't send it to me, but he didn't send it to me."
Maybe he's just dumb. Is that possible?
Did you guys even see it? It is the most innocent, most
the most innocuous
stupidest
nothing
thing I've ever seen. It's like there's no dick pic on there. He's
There's
like,
literally
"You did a
nothing."
good job."
Right.
Emoji. Like that's it. That's
His
all
wife, Pereira's wife, or his wife's account, if she's being truthful, she probably isn't, reacted to a story, an Instagram story that was Masvidal's. Who the hell knows what it was? And she said, like, "Go kill it," or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To which Masvidal replied only with the praying hands emoji, meaning like, "Thanks so much. And apparently it was like 20 years ago.
And even in her defense, it's not like she followed up. Like, it's not like she was trying to get something to happen. She just made her comment and carried on with her life. Like, so no one did anything. It's like the stupidest story ever.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry, we spoiled the sphere, Omar.
That chooch is not in the sphere.
Oh, he's not. That's not in the sphere. I feel like that's kind of newsworthy.
That is prime.
It was a bit of juicy. That was like that's the equivalent of an MMA tabloid story.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. Did we talk about matchups for Ponzinibbio?
We did not. I'll throw one out there.
Throwing out real quick. Then we'll move on.
I think him and Nico Price would be a nice scrap for two guys who are in roughly the same area, kind of hanging outside those rankings now that Pons has fallen out. Mm-hmm. Price is not the fastest guy on earth. Maybe Pons gets to be first. I think that'd be a good one.
Nice.
Real quick, where do you have Ponzinibbio at this point in your rankings?
16.
Randy Brown is a welterweight, right? I'm not making that up?
Yes. I have him at 23, and I don't hate that idea either.
Yeah. I might go with that one.
Yeah. I actually considered that one. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let us move on. And let's throw the remaining fights on this Fight Night card into our lightning round. If you haven't ever seen this before, if you're joining us for the first time, our lightning round is when I throw a bunch of fights from the card into a segment where I challenge these two gentlemen to give me their quickest takes possible, a phrase, a sentence, or two at most, guys. And they do a great job of sticking to this constraint. Here we go. Lightning round. In the middleweight division, Chidi Bang Bang Njokuani, round one knockout of the Serb Duško Todorovic. The official time coming at 4:48 of round one. Mark, go.
Chidi, my word. That elbow was death. Picture perfect. And if Chidi can anti-grapple like that, he's going to be a handful for a lot of guys. He stuffed takedowns. He got up. He never let Todorovic gain like the true control that he was looking for. And if you give Chidi space, he is going to find a way to put you on your ass. That was a great knockout.
Omar, Chidi Bang Bang gets it done by knockout. What's your take?
The sun is hot. Water is wet. Chidi gets a knockout. It's just another day.
Nice. All right, moving down now into the women's strawweight division, the Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci, unanimous decision over Polyana Viana, 29-28 on all three scorecards. Omar, go first.
Yeah, I like Tabitha Ricci. I don't know if I've ever really paid attention or if I've seen her fight before, but I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that very much. I thought it was a great performance, and I will definitely be looking forward to some more Ricci.
Mark, what's your take on this Brazil-on-Brazil violence?
Ricci did look good. I did not love that fight, though. I'm not sure either of them ever even got hit in the face, like at any point in the contest. Also, she feels like maybe she should be an atomweight. Like, she's really small. But, hey, that's her second UFC win now, and she did look good, so you can't ignore her.
The first bout on the main card took place in the middleweight division, and the Iron Turtle Jun Young Park gets the win by split decision over ya boy Eric Anders. That is his nickname, by the way, ya boy. Park earned a 29-28 on two scorecards. Mark, go first.
I feel like me and Omar are going to have different takes on this one. To jump back into some scoring controversy, there was a lot of scoring controversy on this fight as well. I don't understand it. There were some close rounds. I scored every single round for Park. I thought he looked significantly better. I thought he beat Anders in basically the exact manner I said he would on the predictions last week. I thought Anders was behind all fight. So, good win for Park, in my opinion. Controversy-free.
All right, Omar, what's your take on the split decision by the Iron Turtle, Jun Young Park, over your boy?
Shocker for Mark. I agree.
Wow.
Oh.
Dude, I feel like the whole internet thought Anders won.
No. I was actually going to say how frustrating it is watching that kid fight still. Because he still tried to grind out this kid who was not going to get ground out. Got hit in the process of not getting the takedowns. He had some moments where he was scrapping back and things like that. It wasn't like he, wasn't doing anything. But, man, he looks slow. And he almost looks like he's thinking about what's the next step as opposed to, like, reacting, almost like Park was to a certain extent. Park was worried about the power, though. You could see he was very tentative. He was definitely trying not to get hit by Eric Anders, so he definitely felt something in there. But it got to a point where, we talked about it last week, how we knew Eric Anders kind of has this grindy style now that he just tries to get people up against the cage. And I mean, he did that from the first 10, 15 seconds of the fight.
Yep.
But it wore on him. That style, I don't think, works for him because he gasses.
Yep.
And he's not the same, he barely can get a takedown in round one when he's full of gas, and he expects to continue that for 3 rounds when he's like done by the middle of round 2. Sorry, this is not lightning, but it's just super frustrating for me. I definitely think Park won that fight, but it was a little bit closer. I thought, like it's not like Park took it away, but at the same time, Eric Anders did not win that fight.
Yeah,
I wish I had
a competitive loss.
Yeah.
I wish I had a button that started playing wrap it up music like at the Oscars, or even better, because it's lightning round. If it was just like a thunder clap, that was just like boom, boom, boom.
That'd be good. Honestly, I'm so glad you agree with me though. Like, I was reading Twitter after that fight, and I was like, do my eyes not work on Eric Anders? Like, what are other people seeing that I'm not seeing? So I'm very glad we agree.
Okay, here we go. In the heavyweight division, Jailton Maladino Almeida gets the round 1 submission over Parker Porter. The official time coming at 4:35 of the very first round. Omar, go first.
Jailton Almeida is terrifying. That is a scary-ass human being. Parker Porter had maybe 25, 30 pounds on him, and it didn't matter in the least. I am terrified for anybody in the heavyweight division at this point, at least for anybody outside of the top 5. And he might, if he can make weight, which at this point I don't really want him to, but if he can make weight at 205, he's a problem at 205.
Oh, for sure.
But
Okay, Mark. Sorry, keep going.
I was going to say, just don't squeeze all the juice out of the lemon, man. If you can't make the weight, don't do it.
Mark, the light heavyweight Jailton Almeida gets it done at heavyweight. What's your take?
Yeah, apparently he has every intention to go back there. Again, this was just to take the short notice replacement in Parker Porter that was offered up to him, so we will see. But wherever he chooses to fight, this man is a mauler. Like, Gustafsson may have to give up the nickname because Brazilian Khabib is a mauler. He's built like a cyborg. He's an athlete. He's crazy strong. His technique on the ground is beautiful. And to do that to a guy as big as Parker Porter, like, 205ers must be panicking to get the phone call to fight this man right now.
Okay, in the lightweight division, the Serb Uroš, the Dr. Medic, round 2 TKO over the Venezuelan fighter Omar Morales. He landed some bombs and really turned up the power to force referee Chris Tognoni to step in and wave it off. Mark, give us your lightning take.
Just quick, Mike, I think you skipped one fight, so heads up on that.
Which one?
Joseph Holmes.
Did I delete that by? Oh, I skipped by accident. My bad.
Joseph, ugly man.
I'll get that next.
But, yeah, as for this one, Uros Medic, I love when I see a fighter get someone hurt and not let them off the hook. Like, he hurt him. He knew he hurt him. He jumped on it and got a beautiful finish. He landed 3 straight left hooks until he finally put Morales down, and he beats a tough guy in Morales, and that's a nice win for him for sure.
Omar, give us your lightning take of Uros Medic getting it done by TKO over a very tough guy in Omar Morales.
He had to work for that win, too. I mean, that first round was a pretty competitive first round. It went back and forth quite a bit. And the second round, to be frank, the second round, he caught him. They were throwing bombs at each other back and forth, and that one just landed. And like Mark said, he never let Morales off the hook. It was a fantastic performance, fantastic fight from both guys, and a hell of a finish.
Okay, and what was the featured prelim of this fight night that took place in the middleweight division? Ugly Man Joe Holmes scores the round 1 submission over Alan Amedovski. Really, it wasn't so much a submission as it was a disgusting knee that he threw up right up the middle. It was almost lights out for Amedovski, but he followed up with some nasty ground and pound and ultimately gets the choke at 1 minute, 4 seconds of round number 1. Omar, go first. What's your lightning take?
Yeah, I'm glad that this kid finally got a win and was able to show off a little something. He's had a little bit of a rough go with not getting the contenders, not getting a contract off of the Contender Series and having to do looking for a fight. And then his first fight in the UFC didn't go his way. So it was nice to see him not only win a fight, but win a fight in a nice, impressive fashion. Just like you said, it was a beautiful, almost fake out knee. He made it look like he was going for a jab, and guy ducked down, ran his face right into the knee, and then followed up with a rear naked choke that didn't even have any hooks in it. It was like the quickest and the most sloppy rear naked choke, and it didn't even matter because the boy was barely conscious as it was.
Yeah.
So, fantastic performance.
Mark, what's your quick take on the Ugly Man getting it done?
I don't know what was better, the performance or the mustache. That mustache is incredible. But yeah, Omar said it. I'm happy he bounced back from the debut loss. Got a great win here. Drops him, another guy who didn't let someone recover, and finishes him with a rear naked choke. And then he's on the mic, seemingly really confident about it, saying how he's got the best grappling in the middleweight division. So I'm over here like, do you? Like, I'm interested to see this. So I'm intrigued to see Holmes again and see what this grappling is all about for him to be that confident in it.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one bit.
Yeah, I'm not buying its best, but like maybe it's good and we haven't even really seen it yet.
Yeah. I also want to hear the story behind this nickname because I'm like, come on, man. Have some confidence.
It should be
It's
mentioned that he's working with James Krause, so he's at a legit camp right now.
There you go.
Yeah, man. All right, let's move on into the bantamweight division. Jonathan Martinez gets a unanimous decision over Vince Morales. Mark, go first.
Always love Jonathan Martinez. He is so easy to watch. He's so smooth. He's so clean. He dictates everything that happens. He stays safe defensively. Adding a bit more of a killer instinct may be what kind of lets him make the jump to the next level, but he is very good, and he's going to beat a lot of guys in this division even now.
Omar, give us your take.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I love watching this kid. I think this was one of the fights that we highlighted last week very quickly that, definitely somebody to watch out for. And he's good, man. Technically, he's so sound. He knows what he's doing when he's in there. You can see, counter to what I was saying about Eric Anders and how he kind of has to think about what's happening next. You don't really see that with Martinez. Martinez flows when he fights. Yep. Love watching him fight. Great decision, great fight. Definitely would be nice for a KO every now and again, but he doesn't seem like the type that's trying to force anything. But whatever happens, happens. But yeah, he's dominant nonetheless.
Okay, up in the featherweight division, the 22-year-old Chase the Dream Hooper scores the round 3 TKO over Felipe Colares. The official time came at 3 minutes of round number 3. Mark, go first.
Woo! Chase Hooper. This boy has gotten noticeably better. I mean, that was 100% the best Chase Hooper that we've ever seen, and it wasn't close. He came to fight in that fight, like not just to survive the striking and try to grapple. He came in and he was like, I'm just going to fight a real fight and do whatever comes. So to do that is a big step for him, and his striking was way better. And just when I had started to maybe feel like Chase Hooper was getting exposed as like someone who didn't quite belong, he comes out and makes me look like an idiot. So that was a great performance.
Omar?
I was slightly more confident
in
Chase Hooper. His grappling is still pretty legit. His striking is better than what it was. I will definitely give you that. It definitely needs some work if we're talking about moving on up, right?
Oh, it certainly still needs work, but it was a lot better.
But he's still getting bigger too. He definitely doesn't look nearly as small as he once did. And I think he looked good, man. He looked like he was in there, like you said, he was in there to fight. And he looked like it. He acted like it. He was a little bit meaner in there, as it were.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see what this kid really has to offer. He is young. He still has a lot to learn, a lot to grow. And he's at a good place, especially with that grappling. The level of grappling that he has at the age that he has could work for him.
Yeah.
But we've seen, just like Mickey Gall, there might be a ceiling at some point. It just might not work out for him. And that's totally possible for Chase Hooper as well.
Great comparison.
But I'm
Feels
interested.
very similar.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home here in the women's strawweight division. Sam Page Hughes gets the TKO over Elise Reed. Official time coming at 3 minutes, 52 seconds of round number 3. Omar, go first.
Man, being on the bottom and taking all those elbows and all those shots. I think that I don't even think she was busted open until she got right on the top at the end there and just started busting up her entire face. Sam Hughes, good finish, good fight. I guess she called out Cormier too about calling her a quitter or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Sam Hughes wasn't having it that night, I guess.
Yeah, man. All right, Mark, bring us home.
Yeah, Sam Page is living up to the name since she switched to Fortis MMA. Like, she looks like a much different fighter. I just said this about Chase Hooper. She's another one. I feel like sometimes that switch needs to flick for fighters to be like, I'm just going to get in here and let myself scrap. And I feel like that's what she's done her last couple fights also. Like, the shackles are off when it comes to her style. And she's looking the best she ever has. So that's 2 in a row now after she started 0-3 in the cage and got another chance. And now she paid it off with 2 in a row.
Nice. All right, gentlemen, that does it for this week's lightning round. I feel like lightning round has potential to be something, I don't know, something more. I know what I envision. I envision like around the horn style. Like if I was able to just like give you both like points.
Oh, points.
Based on how lightning your lightning take is and how good of a take it is, and how like succinct you can be. And like blink, 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 like 3 points, 4 points, 5 points for you, 5 points for you. Blah, 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 blah. I can subtract points if you guys fucking go on and on and on. And I'm like, hey, not lightning. That was like 3 minutes you just talked.
So you're desperate for power. That's basically it.
Have I told you that I'm running for office in my town? No, I'm kidding. All right, gentlemen. Let us now put a bow on UFC Fight Night Holm versus Vieira by finding out who rose and who fell in our very own rankings system. And by our very own, I mean Mark's very own. That's right. If you're joining us for the very first time and you don't yet know, Mr. Priaulx has been driven to such frustration by the UFC rankings that one day he just started tracking his own rankings of all the UFC fighters. And it is what has become today that we call the Priaulx Rankings. So, Mark, take it away. Who has risen and who has fallen from this past weekend's UFC Fight Night?
Thank you. We have quite a few risers this week, and we do have one notable faller. I will start at the top of the card, which is what we've been doing as of late and working our way down it. So the first riser is Michel Pereira, going from number 21 in my welterweight ranks all the way up to number 14, which is the same number he landed at with the UFC. He finally gets his name-ranked opponent, gets the win, cracks through into the rankings. I can't speak. Wish I could speak. The next one down the card, bit of a smaller jump, is Chidi Njokuani. Goes from number 45 to number 40 in my middleweight rankings, continuing his slow and deadly march up the ranks. Next one, the Baby Shark, Tabitha Ricci, goes from number 36 to number 27 in my women's strawweight ranks, so nice little jump for her. She dropped her debut up a weight class to Manon Fior, and obviously we know how good Fior is now, and I feel like people kind of just forgot Ricci existed, and now she goes down to strawweight, and she's 2-0 at her actual weight class, so she's kind of marching up here. Next one down the card, Junyoung Park. This is actually the biggest jump of the week. He moves 16 spots. He goes from number 43 to number 27 in my middleweight ranks. With that win, he was kind of a guy who hadn't gotten his shot at a name opponent, though he had looked good. And Eric Anders, while he has his flaws, also has some quality wins. So that was his name. He jumps up to number 27 in the middleweight ranks. And then the last, who we just touched on, is Sam Hughes. Goes from number 42 all the way up to number 29 at women's strawweight. As I said, started 0-3, and now she's kind of jumped into relevancy here after winning 2 in a row. The faller this week is ya boy, Eric Anders. He goes from number 23 to number 28 in my middleweight ranks. Obviously, some people thought it was controversial. Not me, not us. Didn't think he brought much to the cage, and he takes a little bit of a tumble because of it. And that is all I got.
Well, thank you, sir. That being said, that puts a bow on this past weekend's UFC Fight Night, Holm versus Vieira. If you're joining us, folks, for the first time, once again, thank you so much. Do us a favor, if you're watching this on YouTube, go right ahead and like this video. If you haven't done so yet, if you really like our content, subscribe to our channel so that you never miss an episode. And, of course, share this video with someone who you know who loves MMA and might not yet know about our show. If you want audio only for that commute, we got you. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, we are on social media, on most, if not all, of these social channels. You can find us at @new_MMA show. All right. That being said, let us jump into our next segment. This is Inside the MMA Sphere with Omar Artola. Omar, what's new?
Well, welcome. Inside.
I've missed
The
this.
MMA
I've missed
Sphere.
it.
Every once in a while, I gotta hit you with one of these, you know.
I just want some quiet, some soft thunder in the background. Some rainfall.
I gotta get you some thunder. You really want some thunder. All right, guys, we're gonna get into it. Just a couple of headlines. Nothing too crazy this week, to be honest, and not a lot of fight announcements. It's been a relatively slow week in the MMA world, so let's jump right into it. Kevin Holland is back being Superman. He was in the middle of a highway when an 18-wheeler had flipped over. Kevin Holland ends up pulling over, getting out of his car, going over and actually opening the door, ripping the door out, as he said. I'm assuming he didn't actually rip the door open, but got the door open, helped the guy out of the truck. Apparently, he starts to see like fluids and stuff coming out of the truck, so he's all of a sudden super worried about the truck blowing up. And the driver of the 18-wheeler, once he got him out, was like, "Wait, I need to go back in." And he wanted to go back in to get like his cell phone, and then he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then he got him out with his cell phone. He's like, "Wait, I forgot something else." And he's like, "Dude, this thing is gonna blow up. We need to get out of here." And the cops show up, and then everything kind of goes under control from there. The guy, the driver, apparently once the cops show up, started to lose it a little bit and started getting a little bit more dramatic than what he was with Kevin Holland. But it was, regardless, a very traumatic experience, I'm assuming, for everybody. It's nice to see Kevin Holland still, playing heroics, but admittedly, he said he probably shouldn't have been involved in that one at all. So,
Does this guy just like have a police scanner in his car? Like, how? It's the third time. How?
I am not sure. I do think it's funny though that he's driving a car that he bought specifically because it reminded him of the Batmobile. And then ends up pulling over to rip this guy out of an 18-wheeler that flipped over in the middle of the highway. I mean, you can't write this shit.
No, I don't know how all these things find him. I've never been in any of these situations in my life. Don't know anyone who has, really. And this dude has 3 in the last calendar year.
Yeah. Kevin Holland saving the day, one person at a time. Next on the list, Alex Rodriguez in MMA news. That is obviously the former Yankee. He is investing in the PFL and is officially joining the board of directors. That should be interesting. I don't know exactly what that'll mean going forward, if we're actually going to see any significant change, but it's kind of fun. Thiago Alves news. He says he's no longer under the BKFC contract. He was trying to get a fight with Mike Perry for the BKFC, I believe, lightweight championship.
Right.
I believe. He tried to do some promotion, try to get that spark rolling, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. He doesn't really seem interested anymore at this point either. He says he's actually looking for a return to MMA. I wouldn't be surprised. He didn't say anything specific, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see his ass at Eagle FC before anything else.
Yeah,
that might be an
makes
interesting
sense.
place for him to end up. So keep an eye out for him. Once we have some more information on that, we'll definitely let everybody know.
Dude, we
Last
forgot to
on the
mention
list-
Eagle FC.
What's up?
Yeah.
We forgot to mention Eagle FC. Poor Junior.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
that
We
sucks.
should talk about
Sorry,
it after.
finish
after
your
you
sphere.
come out.
We'll end the sphere with Junior.
Fabricio Verdum. He has not retired from MMA, according to him, but he will not be competing in MMA in the foreseeable future as he is focusing 100% on boxing. Make that what you will.
No.
It just seems like the worst decision he could have made. But apparently he had some talks with BKFC himself, but they didn't come to an agreement, so that won't be happening. So I'm not really sure what we're to expect from Fabricio going forward, but again, when we hear it, we'll let you guys know. A couple of announcements here. Ayman Zahabi versus Ricky Turcios has been added to UFC Fight Night on July 9th. If you've never seen Ricky Turcios fight, highly recommend it. That guy has an infinite cardio cheat. That man just goes. That man's a scrapper for sure. Mark DeCasey versus Damir Hadzovic has been added to UFC London on July 23rd. Makwan Amerikani versus Jonathan Pierce has been added to UFC London on July 23rd.
That's not.
Michael Oleksiejczuk?
Oleksiejczuk.
Mike, is it Michael?
It's a tough one.
Or is it
Mikhail. It's like Mikhail. I believe it's
something
Mikhail.
like
There's no
that.
E.
Yeah.
Okay, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk.
Go for it. You got it.
Wasn't great. Versus Sam Alvey has been added to UFC
No,
August 6th card.
I didn't see that. Sam Alvey, enough.
And this is at middleweight. It should be noted.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Oleksiejczuk dropped to middleweight?
That's at least this fight. That's what it says.
That's intriguing. I didn't know that.
Augusto Sakai versus Sergey Spivak has been added to UFC's August 6th card as well.
I didn't see that either. Wow.
Nice.
Crazy.
Nice.
That's a good one. I like that. I've missed a lot of these announcements.
Last MMA one, Nicholas Mota versus Cameron Van Camp has been added to UFC's September 10th event. Quick little boxing announcement. Canelo Alvarez will be rematching Gennady Golovkin for the third time. That has been announced for September 17th.
Whew. I could watch those two guys fight 100 times.
Literally 100 times. I'm fine with that. Always. And that's all I got for you guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming in to the MMA sphere. Appreciate it.
Nice. All right, gentlemen. Well, we do not have any MMA to talk about going forward because there's nothing happening this weekend on the calendar. That being said, let's dive into our trivia. I crafted a few more trivia for this week, and I followed my inspiration, gentlemen. And this week, we have Brazilian nickname edition trivia. I love it. I was inspired by the guy who will be our first question. That being this most recent this past weekend's competitor, Jailton Almeida. Jailton Almeida's nickname is Maladinho. What does Maladinho mean? Is it A, Daddy Shark, B, the jackhammer, C, bodybuilder, or D, bad boy?
I'm going D just simply because it starts with Mal.
Omar?
Yeah.
The answer is C, bodybuilder.
Wow. Wow. I was going to guess bodybuilder until I heard bad boy, and then I was like, all right, Mal, bad.
I was going to go with jackhammer.
Wow.
Okay.
Because he looks
Yes.
like bodybuilder, so it makes
He
sense.
does. He's an action figure. This one, I reached out to a buddy who is from Brazil, and he said it's a tough one to kind of translate. Like I looked it up on Google Translate, and it literally translated to like I don't even remember, like pig something pigeon toe or something pig toe. And he was like, it basically is a slang for like a bodybuilder. I was like, all right, that makes sense. Okay, going down the line now. I've reached back I got some easy ones for you guys, and I got some older ones that are some tricky ones. And I got some ones that are, you might be surprised that are nicknames, which I was. I'm like, God, these fucking Brazilians. Okay. Davison Figueiredo, whose nickname is Deus da Guerra. I love saying that. Is it A, God of Fighting, B, God of War, C, God of Love, or D, God of the Fist?
Definitely God of War.
I know this one, so I'll let Omar go first.
Dios de Guerra?
Yeah.
Did you answer already? What did you say?
It's got to be God of War.
Yes, it is.
Mark? The answer is B, God of War. Deus da Guerra. Yeah. Oof. Looks like Guerra. Okay.
Great, by the way.
It is. Oh, such an amazing nickname. Yes. Okay. Junior Dos Santos. His nickname is Cigano. Is it A, Wanderer?
I remember this.
Is it A, Wanderer, B, Traveler, C, Orphan, or D, Gypsy?
It's D, Gypsy.
Yeah.
The answer is D, Gypsy. Cigano means gypsy, slang term for gypsy. This one you guys might know. You might not know it. Josimar Palhares. His nickname is Toquinho. Does it mean A, Little Boulder, B, Little Bear, C, Little Pile Driver, or D, Little Stump?
Please let it be fucking D, Little Stump. Please.
I think it is.
Final answers?
Yeah, I want it to be that so bad.
The answer is D, Little Tree Stump.
Thank
Toquinho.
God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's what he looks like, man.
That's exactly what he looks like, which is why it's funny.
Man.
Quick story. I have corresponded with Paul Hadis on social media because he was going to be a Torah fighter.
Right.
So I reached out to him. He actually did get back to me. He was a very nice guy. I had a very nice back and forth with him. So,
really? Did he add in like, also I'll kill you?
No, very nice guy. Very, very sweetheart. Big sweetheart.
You put
Okay.
your leg in my space, I will take it.
I'm going to go home with it. Hang it on my wall. Okay, this one, I did not know he had a nickname. I don't remember him having a nickname, but Gabriel Gonzaga.
Oh, yeah.
His nickname is Napão.
Of course.
Does it mean, you know it? Oh, shit.
I know it's his nickname. I don't know,
Okay.
that I know what it means.
Okay. Again, I believe this is kind of a slang term. Napão, Napao. And the second A has that little tilde over, so it's Napão, I believe. Anybody who's listening or watching who speaks Portuguese from Brazil, let me know. Is it A, big head, B, big nose, C, big feet, or D, big hands?
I want to say it's big head.
Omar?
Man, I hope it's not big nose. That's a fucked up one to have for the rest of your life. I get just because I don't want to pick the same one because I don't know. I'll go with big nose. We'll have Mark go with big nose.
Final answer?
Yeah.
The answer is B, big nose, Napão.
Really? Wow.
Which is weird because I don't think Gonzaga doesn't have a big nose.
I was going to say, I can't picture his nose being big. It's like normal. Now I got
Anybody who's listening or watching who might be in the know, I got this from the internet, so who knows if it's fucking true. I also looked it up on like Google Translate, and Napão does not translate to anything.
He's got a normal face. I don't know.
Okay, last one. This one, again, this is the case where this guy just goes by this word as his name, and I did not know this was a nickname. José Formiga. Formiga is his nickname. His real last name is Da Silva.
Yeah.
So does Formiga mean A, the ant, B, the hornet, C, the wasp, or D, the beetle? José, is that how I say it? José?
Yeah. No, you're saying it right.
José Formiga.
Yeah. I knew that was his nickname that he went by, but I never cared to figure out what it meant. I have no
thought it
idea.
was just his
Not
last name.
real name.
No,
I knew-
right?
Because he was Jussier de Silva when he was like
was
on
he?
the regional scene, and then he hit the UFC, and all of a sudden they were calling him Jussier Formiga. They do that with Brazilian people sometimes.
Brazilians do that. Their nickname is like
Even
their
the
identity.
UFC does it. Like they'll have
They go with
a
it.
name, like their Sherdog name, or like whatever. It won't match what they're called when they get to the UFC.
Okay.
Anyway,
So,
we got Wasp, Hornet.
Ant, hornet, wasp, or beetle. Formiga.
I'm gonna go with ant. I'm gonna go with ant.
Wasp.
Final answers? The answer is A. The ant. Formiga. Jussier Formiga.
Nice.
Formiga da Silva.
I
Okay.
feel
should
like
have kept
I
track
have
of who
some
won
sort of. I have some sort of advantage because I speak
Speak Spanish.
Yeah,
and there are,
no.
Spanish and Portuguese have many similarities
Because
We
in
should have kept
Spanish-
track
in
of who won
vocab.
that. Mike, go back
Formiga
through them. Who
is-
won? Me or Omar?
so
I
it's
feel like
very-
Omar might have edged you out here.
I think he got me by
We
one,
had,
but I wasn't sure.
Jalton Almeida, Maladinho means bodybuilder. You both got that?
No, we both got it wrong.
that
You both
was-
got it wrong? Oh, that's right. Figueiredo, De Ostagueja,
We
God
both
of
got
War.
right.
Cigano, both got it right.
Both right.
Gypsy. Pallares, Little Stump.
Both right.
Okay. And then Gabriel Gonzaga. Napel means big
Omar
nose.
got- So he
And now
beat Mike, too.
Formiga.
Yep.
Getting you by 2. Okay, one more. I got a bonus one for you guys. It's in reverse. Antonio Bigfoot Silva. In Brazil, Bigfoot Silva is affectionately referred to as Bigfoot, but the Brazilian word. In Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, is the word for Bigfoot, is it A, pezão, B, macaco, C, cachorrão, or D, molusco? So it's pezão, macaco, cachorrão, or molusco.
I don't know because of any translation. I just know what his nickname was, so I know the answer.
Oh, you do? Oh, shit. I thought you guys didn't know that.
Ask it one more time.
Is it A, pezão, B, macaco, C, cachorrão, or D, molusco?
Phase out. Is that one?
The answer is A, pezão. That's how you say Bigfoot. And one more, guys, just a bonus. I couldn't put this in a question because you never, ever would have gotten it. But Renan Barão is a nickname and not his freaking last name. I never knew that.
I didn't know
Apparently,
that.
according to this, anybody who's actually in the know,
Wow.
let me know if this is wrong, but I got this from a list on the internet. His real name is Renan Pedago or something like that. And Barão, I didn't put this in a question. It means Baron of Arunya or Ararun. I don't know how to say this.
Well, his nickname
something like
was
that.
just the Baron.
The
I
Baron.
remember they used to say.
Yeah, Baron, and this I think it's the name of a town or something like that.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So there you have it. So that does it for this week. Trivia Brazilian nickname edition.
I have a
fun.
spontaneously created trivia question.
Oh.
I love it.
As of 30 minutes ago.
Oh, okay.
As we were talking about these 10-10 things, got me thinking.
Oh, God.
Got me looking up. And so I'm going to give you guys a question. I'm going to give you guys 4 fights. One of these fights was not a 10-10. Did not have a 10-10 record.
Okay.
Okay.
This all comes down to your choices of options.
Dennis Seaver versus George Soteropoulos.
Okay.
Actually, don't remember who the fuck this kid is. Hold, please.
Okay, holding. Oh, by the way, Gabriel Gonzaga's nickname, it's Big Nose, but it's meant in a way that means sixth sense. I don't know. Anybody who's Portuguese or Brazilian rather and speaks Portuguese, let us know.
All right. So, Dennis Seaver versus George Soteropoulos. James Wilkes versus Peter Sabata. Dan Hardy versus Mike Swick. Or Robbie Lawler. Sorry.
You're saying
Robbie
which one
Lawler.
didn't? Which fight did not have a 10-10 round?
Right.
Really? Wow.
Robbie Lawler and who?
Matt Brown.
No way. There's no way that fight had a 10-10. Didn't he? Dan Hardy.
That one.
Dan Hardy and Mike Swick. How did that have a 10-10 round in it? Both those guys fight. And who was the second one? Wilkes?
James Wilkes and Peter Sabata.
Wasn't James Wilkes the guy on the recent food documentary? The Game Changers documentary?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. It was a big documentary about veganism on, I think, Netflix.
Yeah.
That guy.
He is now an English film producer and vegan activist. Yeah, I guess
Wow.
so.
Shit. Yeah, I'm
gonna go.
Lawler Brown.
I'm going to go with Hardy and Swick. That did not have a 10-10. Final answer.
Huh?
What was yours?
Lawler and Brown.
It's a great choice.
It is Lawler and Brown.
Now I need to know the context of how Hardy and Swick had a 10-10.
Yeah, so the some of them have the full complete breakdown on MMA decisions of the, because I had to look them up to make sure that they actually had some 10-10 rounds. Some of them don't actually show the 10-10, but if you look at the scorecards compared to the other ones, they're missing points, so they're even rounds that are involved. Some of them just show them straight out as 10-10, but Lawler did have a 10-10 round against Johnny Hendricks.
Really?
That was a thing.
Wow.
UFC 171.
Nice.
So there have been a lot more 10-10 rounds than I realized in the UFC's history, which makes the which makes the Rose versus Carla thing even more fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
But
apparently they're more discouraged now than they used to be. Don't ask me why. But I heard maybe Cormier say that, I think.
I wonder if that's true, though. Cormier likes to talk.
No, but he said it in the context of like, I don't know if it was Cormier. It was someone on that broadcast, but it was in the context of like, I just heard at the last judging frickin' commission them telling the judges to de-emphasize the want to score 10-10 and try your best to score a 10-9. But
I would have been like, I tried my best. That was a 10-10 round. Like,
yeah. But even shit like that bothers me. Like, why? So we can score a fight, not what actually happened? Like, what if they both walk out and they stand in the middle and they never touch each other? Can I score it a 10-10 then? Like, do I have to say someone won? Like, why are we making stupidity? Like, let's score what's really happening.
it also is with the 10-8s, too, to a certain extent. Like, the disparities between some of the 10-8s that we have and some of the ones that people argue over. I mean,
Yep.
one guy is basically dying while the other one is sort of just like losing a round. You know
Yep.
what I mean? There's not really there should be a discrepancy between the two. They shouldn't be on the same level.
For sure. There's too much disparity in the same scores. Full fight scoring.
Yeah. And it is true, though. I mean, if you give somebody a 10-7 round, there's no time to really make that up.
No.
You know, in a 3 or 5 round fight. So there is something to be said about that and having those changes being made. I don't know if it would really work.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, gentlemen, we've done it again. Let's put a bow on this whole episode. If you guys have been watching and sticking with us, thank you so much. If you've been listening or watching our show for quite some time and have not yet subscribed, do us a favor. Go ahead and subscribe. It'll help us out so much. Go ahead also and hit the thumbs up and give us a like on this video. That'll help us a ton. And, of course, share this video with somebody who you know who might love MMA and not yet know about our show. Once again, find us wherever you get your podcasts and find us on social media at @andnew_MMA show. Guys, any parting shots?
We'll be back next week to recap all the nothing that's happening this weekend.
Yep.
Your boy's going to see Top Gun tomorrow, and I am hyped.
Fun times.
That is one new movie that I actually do want to get to the theater and see.
This crazy bastard knows how to fly those fucking planes for real. This is insane.
For real?
Tom Cruise?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
I believe it.
Wow.
He would.
I
I think he's got the time, Mark.
The original movie, had real planes flying and stuff like that, but not them inside of it for real like that.
This
But
time it does.
I think they really had these people in those planes doing some of those maneuvers for real.
Wow.
So
Good for them.
damn,
Fun life.
I'm excited to watch it, man. I can't wait. I'm hyped.
That's wild. Yeah, it looks good. I saw the preview when I took Lucas to see Sonic, and I was like, fuck, that was one of the best previews I've seen in a minute.
Cool.
They know what they're doing there. They know
man.
that you're there with the kids. You got to show something for dad.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Enjoy the weekend off, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.